Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Conversations with Camden, which is a back to school edition. And we're going to talk to you tonight about not only preparing to come back to school, but if maybe you're interested in exploring and learning more about CMA, we'll be talking about all of that tonight. So if you have questions, and I know some of you do because I've already have some coming in, please remember to post them on the YouTube chat. You can go to any of our social media platforms and just use the hashtag. See, what is it? Oh goodness, I forgot it tonight. Let's see. It is hashtag CMA back to school right there. Yeah, CMA back to school. So just remember to use that hashtag wherever you post, except the YouTube chat. We can of course see that, but anywhere else, make sure you use that hashtag. I want you to make this tonight, this YouTube live, very interactive. So I want you asking questions, participating in the conversation. I know it's a little different than a Zoom. A lot of families contacted me and was like, "Is this going to be where I can ask questions?" Well, no, not vocally, but you certainly can submit them on social media. And then we're going to ask these young men that I have joining me tonight. Fortunately, we've had three that's given up some time of their summer to come on and help me out and then help the families out. So I want to go through and let them introduce themselves. And if you will, guys, Lon, we'll start with you. Just your name, where you're from, and what's the best thing you've done so far this summer?
Um, my name is Lon Callis. I'm from Weddington, North Carolina, and next year will be my senior year at Camden. And the best thing this summer, I mean, we went down to Charleston for a week with my family, so that was really fun. It was really hot, but I just been busy working. I'm a lifeguard, so I really enjoyed that.
Very cool. All right. And Whitaker, are you still at the beach?
No, I was on vacation last week, which was probably one of the most fun things I've done this summer. But I'm Luke Whitaker. I live in Columbia, South Carolina, and yeah, the beach was for sure the most fun thing I've done all summer.
Yeah, Luke's considered a local boy, just right down the road. And then we're going to go over to our long distance fellow here. Maddox, introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, my name is Maddox Brown. I'm from Longmont, Colorado. This will be my third year at Camden. I'll be a sophomore. And I think the best thing that I've done this summer is definitely Myrtle Beach with my whole family. Just a couple days ago, I got back actually.
You came from Colorado back to South Carolina when you're what in
Mm-hmm.
school? High
Twice,
school. Wow.
twice. Yeah.
See, we,
So
we, we draw people. We're going to increase tourism, increase the population. People move here because of CMA. It's good. All right. So want to start off just asking these guys a general question because I know a lot of young men are experiencing some anxiety, maybe, which is normal. You know, everyone's a little nervous about change, any change, but especially going off to a boarding school. And then put on top of that, you throw in the military term, and that kind of freaks some young men out. So, um, guys, take me back to when your family was exploring the options. What were your feelings? Were you nervous, and how did you kind of overcome that once you got to CMA? And Lon, we'll start with you.
So towards the end of my summer after my freshman year, is when my parents, or especially my mom, had the idea of me switching, like changing backgrounds, getting out of my high school and like starting fresh. And so that's what she decided to do. She found out Camden, and we went down and toured it, and we really liked it. So that's just where I ended up my sophomore year. So.
Yeah. And Luke, ask you a little different question. Okay, so the day one, what's the thing that you remember the most about the very first day at registration, checking in here at CMA?
Meeting everybody in my barracks. Everybody just wanted to know where I was from and what sports I played. I was really nervous, but it was good to be somewhere that wasn't a public school.
All right. And Maddox, you're come the farthest. So, what was your thoughts? Any anxieties there?
I mean, like coming in, I was younger than both Whitaker and Callis. I was just coming in as an eighth grader for my second semester, so it was definitely a little bit more nerve wracking because, like, I mean, you're definitely younger and you're surrounded by a bunch of juniors and seniors, and but I mean, it's like the brotherhood is the biggest part, and like that's that's how I like overcame my anxiety. I mean, I made friends and got to know a lot of people, and like just kind of reassured myself like that I'm here for the betterment of myself, and that was just kind of my way of not being anxious about this, that, and the other.
All right. All right. And guys, I'm going to kind of ask a general question. Raise your hand if this happened. Who thinks their parents were probably more boy sick than you were homesick? Did they miss you more than you were missing them? Yeah,
Say so.
I think so. I mean,
It's hard to say.
yeah,
I
I mean,
don't
I
know.
think for a lot of our students, they come in and parents always, oh, I'm worried about him being homesick, and we keep them slam busy the first 2 weeks. They're learning a lot of new information. They're getting school books. They're getting uniforms. They're getting haircuts. So they really don't have a whole lot of time to focus on home. But mom and dad sitting there, especially if they're empty nesters, and they're like, oh no, did I make the right decision? Is he okay? Because we do have 2 weeks when there's no contact, and that's really important to remember. And that we have guys struggle. We have guys that want to cry a little bit, and that's fine, and that's normal, and we get you through it. But the piece of advice I have for you is to make contact with some adult so that you feel like you can trust, and you can go in and talk to them, and they can kind of pat you on the back, get you through the problem, and then get you back out, into the daily activities. Um, I think personally, and guys, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the biggest boost that you can give yourself coming in is your attitude. If you come in with a positive attitude and, like, okay, and I know that guys are not thrilled to go to military school, but you can still come in with, okay, we've made the decision, we've paid the tuition, I'm gonna give it a shot. That's all I'm talking about. That's all I'm asking. You'll be okay. If you come in with the mindset, I hate myself, I hate my parents, I hate my dog, you're going to be miserable. So, try to stay positive. Guys, does that make sense to any of you guys? Lon?
Mm. Yes, sir. Yeah. Having a good attitude definitely helps. If you like go in with an attitude of like, oh, this is like not gonna be good, like I'm not gonna make any friends, then you're obviously not going to enjoy your time. But if you go in and be like, oh, this is a new opportunity, I could like strive in this environment, then that's definitely what I would do.
Yeah. And I know a lot of our families this year, especially new boys, new students coming in, haven't been able to tour the campus because of COVID and other restrictions, or maybe just travel made it hard to get here. Um, so, Luke, what does the campus, if you had to describe the campus to somebody, what would you kind of say it resembles? What's it like? What does it remind you of?
Kind of like a small college campus, a little bit. It also mixed with like a high school though, because there's the dorms, there are the barracks, and then you kind of have like the mess hall, and you have the school. And the only thing that's different is probably the infirmary. I don't think I've seen that in any colleges or anything like that.
Yeah, so our infirmary, we do have a place where she can quarantine about 12 students at a time there. So, if someone does become sick, we can get them over there and quarantine. And we'll talk more about COVID protocols here in just a few minutes. But want to get to some of your questions that are coming in. And one is, how will the meals be served? All right, so guys, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but we have our mess hall is being remodeled, and it's in shambles right now. We're about 2 weeks behind on construction. So um, the food will still be served in the dining hall, the mess hall. However, we had to get a mobile kitchen in order to prepare everything. So all the appliances aren't in, the electrical still being worked on. But we'll have a normal menu, like I said, mobile kitchen to prepare all the foods. Later this year, or well, hopefully, if COVID will ever go away, we're going to go back to having the family style foods where the bowls and platters are brought out on the tables. But due to COVID, right now, we're still going to continue to have the serving line, just so that we don't have so many hands touching different bowls and platters and spoons and things as it goes around the table. So, but yeah, so that took care of that. And then a question's coming in about snacks. Lon, are you allowed to have snacks in your room?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you could definitely have snacks in your barracks. Well, like the most common I've seen in like my past years, it's usually just like regular chips, like Gatorade, just little like gummies, like little snacks that you could just eat. But yeah, you could have put them in your wall locker or your press.
Yeah. And Luke, kind of tell someone what the Carlisle House is all about.
Snacks, really good snacks. A lot of ice cream. I get that every day. They got everything you need though. They also got sitting areas where you can set up your PlayStations and Xboxes, or you can just watch TV. They also got a little like music room where you play the piano. It's cool. It's cool to go to during free time.
Yeah, so the snacks is a big draw, of course, and they have pizza and that kind of stuff there. We were allowing campus deliveries pre-COVID, but now during COVID, of course, we are not doing that. But hopefully, we'll get back to that. We do have teachers though that will go out and pick up food for guys and bring back from McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or whatever that they're craving that day. So it does pay to get those personal connections with the teachers, let them know who you are, and try to stand out and not just blend into the crowd. We have a question coming about the homesickness. They wanted to know who's available for the boys to talk to if they become homesick. From my point of view, it's basically any adult on campus. We have all the administration, even the headmaster has an open door, so you can go in and talk with him. But the TAC officer is your primary go-to. He's your primary point of contact for both parents and students. But we do have a full-time chaplain. And we do have a few women that work here on campus. And so, if they need the motherly touch or grandmotherly touch, those ladies are available for that as well. So, but parents, it is important. I failed to mention this earlier. If your son could be putting on a show for us and saying, I'm doing great, I'm not homesick, I don't miss anybody. But then when you talk to him, he's upset, he's struggling. Let us know, because if you don't, we can't help him. And so, never hesitate to reach out to us and let us know if something's not just right. All right. And then I had a question come in about allergy medication. So, and can it be kept in your room? The answer to that's a hard no. Do not keep any medications in your room. Everything has to go to the infirmary. We have 3 nurses, and she'll dispense the meds as needed. Also, the TAC officers keep some over-the-counter type medications in his office so that he could give those if you request them. But yeah, for medications, only to the infirmary. And then a question came in about roommates. When will you find out who your roommate is? TAC officers are calling families. If you haven't been contacted by your TAC officer, give us a call tomorrow or send me an email, and we'll make sure that you get contacted. But they are calling all of the new students and introducing themselves and talking about roommates. So again, if you haven't been contacted, do give us a call or an email, and we'll make that happen for you. One more question about devotions. Is there a daily devotion or anything like that? You will notice on our packing list that we require you to bring a Bible, and that is why. There'll be some scripture read. There will be some prayers said in the mess hall, but that's about it for daily. I know some guys do daily devotionals on their own, and that's great. But you're only required to go to chapel on Sunday mornings, and we have the full-time chaplain who delivers the messages there. And but he has other activities throughout the week, Bible studies, prayer meetings. I think he even does some like grief sessions, things like that. So so that kind of takes care of the religious aspect. All right, now I'm going to go back to you guys and ask you a question about something maybe that's not on our packing list that you brought. So something kind of out of the ordinary that we tell you to bring your toothbrush and your underwear and that kind of stuff, but what's something that you brought from home that made you feel a little better? And Maddox, we'll start with you.
Well, like something that I would, always bring for myself is like, something that reminds me of home, maybe. And like, it kind of is all personal preference. Like, I brought this little compass that my parents got me, but you can bring like your electronics. Like I bring my MacBook and like my phone, obviously. And like you can kind of, if it's on the packing list, like you can obviously bring it, but like some things that, are like, closer to you, you can bring as well. And also like the, thing, if you like work out, like you can bring like a lifting belt or like wrist wraps and stuff like that. Like that's kind of stuff you can bring, just like kind of stuff that you would use like on a daily basis, but like it has to be reasonable.
Yeah, good answer. All right, and Lon, what's something that you brought from home? I think I know, but I'm going to ask. What's something you brought from home that made you feel more secure in being here?
Probably so like what I did not last year, but like over the past years, and like I've seen other guys do this too. It's like a bit not a big thing, but like bringing photos, getting like a little bulletin board and like putting photos of like your family, or if you have any like pets or dogs, helps a lot. Like you could just see them and then be reminded of them daily. Um, and then what also like helped me is my lacrosse. I had my lacrosse stick like all the time, so I always bring those from home. And yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be, was your lacrosse equipment, because I don't think I've ever seen Lon, or at least maybe I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen Lon without his lacrosse stick. So
Yeah, so
he usually has it permanently attached. And by the way, guys, Belle misses y'all. She has been in depression all summer. Belle is my
oh
English bulldog who the boys kind of adopted, and she has missed
mm,
you. All right. So I have a question about furlough opportunities. Okay, good question. All right, right now the school calendar is posted online, so you can get the full calendar. And we have breaks. We have a fall break and a winter break. Fall break is in October, winter break in February. Those are guaranteed furloughs. Now they're optional, so that means that you can go home if you want to, but you don't have to. The campus will still remain up and operational. We have the Christmas break starts for us at Thanksgiving. So the Wednesday, you'll get out Wednesday prior to Thanksgiving, and then we don't see you again until January 2nd. So that will be nice. But in addition to those, you'll have opportunities to earn additional furloughs, and those will be for, quick weekend home or something like that. And if you're like, Maddox and you live in Colorado, it might not be feasible to go home to Colorado for just a weekend, but you may meet someone, maybe he wants to go home with Lon this weekend that lives in Charlotte, just an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So, but yeah, so furlough opportunities are still on the calendar right now. All right. And then I have a question about contact with family. So as I said earlier, you have to have the phone. We'll take your phone for the first 2 weeks. If all goes well, you'll get the phone at the end of those 2 weeks. And after that, the communication is pretty much up to you guys, the family and the boys, as to how much you communicate. So, well, why don't you touch on that? How hard was it to give up that phone for 2 weeks? And how often do you communicate with mom now?
it was pretty hard. But I mean, I guess you're not the only one losing your phone, like everyone else is. So like everyone's all kind of just, I mean, in the same boat of not having their phone for 2 weeks and being home or being away from home. Um, so I mean, like making new friends like helps deal with like that a lot of like, oh, I need to like text this person. If you just like focus on making new friends, it like kind of takes that away. Yeah.
Yeah. And Luke, how about you? I mean, how often do you talk to mom and family now?
Uh, During school, I'd
When you're
probably
here?
talk to them twice a week. I wasn't there the first 2 weeks. I came in halfway through the school year, but I still got the 2 weeks taken off my phone because right when I got there, I got it taken for 2 weeks. But no, we would call probably once or twice a week. The first 2 weeks were kind of hard not to talk to her. My first time really away from home without my mom, so that was hard, but it got easier.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Mom and dad, you'll probably get your feelings hurt, because I think mom and dad's expecting them to really miss them, and so they're expecting their phones to blow up with text and phone calls. And a lot of times, again, these guys are busy. We have a schedule, and we're going to stick to it. And especially if they're involved in sports and clubs and that kind of thing, and their time is taken up, their free time is taken up being involved, which is a good thing. And but they're not. That means they're probably not calling you as much as you would like. But parents, you can write letters as well. So during that first 2 weeks, these guys can write letters. You can write letters. I encourage you to do that. Don't drop them off and go on a carnival cruise and send them pictures, because of course that would make me sad. But feel free to write them a letter, give them some encouragement, pat them on the back in words. All right. And I had a question about the sports, and the clubs, and that is when do they get to choose what sports and clubs to be in. Basically, that's right off the bat, you'll be kind of introduced to tryouts for this is going on now, which for the fall, we'll have cross country and football. And then the winter sports, it would be wrestling and basketball. And then in the spring, we have a plethora of sports to get involved in. But yeah, so we'll keep you up to date. We'll make announcements in the mess hall 3 times a day. We'll let you know where to go for what meetings are going on. So yeah, just make sure you pay attention during those daily announcements. And parents, as far as you guys getting the information, I'm in charge of sending out all the emails. So all the emails that you've been getting are coming from me, sorry. But it is a way to kind of keep you connected with the school, and we'll try to get those out at least once every couple of weeks. So, if it's a little longer than that, don't panic, but make sure if you're a prospective student, parent, family member, make sure that you follow us on social media, because that's where the up to the minute updates will be on everything Camden related. If there's any sports cancellations, anything like that. All right, another question coming in. Wow, good job, guys, but keep them coming in. Remember, again, you can post on social media. Any of the social media platforms, use the hashtag CMA back to school, and we'll get to as many of those questions as possible. There it is on the screen, CMA back to school. And again, they don't have to be about questions about the school year. It could be if you're thinking about it for the future, and we're going to get to some of those topics here in just a moment. Before I get back to the guys, though, I do want to go ahead and talk about COVID. Of course, that is the elephant in the room, is the big bad wolf right now. Numbers starting to increase again, and here in South Carolina, just says like everywhere else in the country, numbers are going up with the Delta variant. So we have made some slight changes just to be on the very safe side. Just yesterday, our students and parents were informed that we are wearing a mask again. The initial plan was to wear the mask for 10 days, take the mask off, and be done with it. But after talking with our local hospital and our state epidemiologist and others, we now think it's a good idea to have the mask on. We don't have a date to take it off, but we're hoping to get out of it sooner rather than later. So we know that the young men don't necessarily appreciate having to wear a mask, and we're going to try to get out of that as soon as possible. Other changes right now, like I stated earlier, the calendar is still in full effect. So all of the breaks, trips, everything is still on. Sports still on. So, if there are any changes and you're enrolled, you'll get emails. If you're not enrolled and just wondering what's going on, all those emails that are sent to parents are posted on our blog. This can be found on our website as well as our social media platforms. So just stay tuned to that. And I've already talked about the COVID plan for meals. So we'll continue with cafeteria style serving line, and then hopefully be able to transition back into the family style a little bit later this year. So I think that's about it with COVID. We will be testing all new students. So that was a change that we made, because initially we weren't going to test the vaccinated students. Vaccines are not required. They're not mandatory, but we do have a mandatory quick rapid test on the day of registration. So just be prepared for that. You should have received some registration guidelines, just kind of telling you kind of what to expect your first day here and what building to go to first and all of that. So just make sure that you have those, or again, if you didn't receive that email, it might be in your spam, or you can look at our blog or social media. So just make sure you are kind of staying up to date with us. All right, let's talk about roommates. I've got a question here. Can I contact my prospective roommate? Absolutely. If you can get the TAC officer to tell you who it is. So when the TAC officer calls to introduce himself, you just say, "Hey, who is my roommate?" And parents, a lot of them reach out through social media, that and connect that way, which is fine. But yes, you certainly can do that if you wish. And we'll have a sign up list at the very first day at registration, where you can sign this form, and it allows a couple things. It allows us to give out your number to prospective families for recommendations, referrals, whatever, but it also allows you to sign up for carpool. So if someone's here from, say, Tennessee, and you need to get your son to Memphis, but the closest family that we have to Memphis is in Knoxville, that saves you a lot of driving. So, we'd give you that number of the person that lives there in Knoxville to at least get him that far. So make sure you're on the lookout for that as well during the registration process. But your roommate, guys, that's really important. So let's talk about that and kind of share your experience, Maddox, as far as when you first got here, your first roommate, and what was he like? Kind of what was his job, and then how do you ever get to change roommates?
So the big thing with roommates is like that's like your number one person that you're gonna like be around. Like you'll be around your roommate for, I mean, a good 60% of the day. I mean, from the time you wake up, like you wake up with that person in the same room and you go to bed with the person in the same room, you know? So, my first roommate, like, I mean, his name was Colton Churchwell. And so, like, you know, each roommate has their own job. So, like, you know, we switch off days for taking out the trash. So, like, one day I'll take out the trash and he'll vacuum that day. And the next day it's vice versa. You know, and like he cleans his side of the room and his side of the desk, and I clean my side of the room and my side of the desk. So it's all kind of like separating up like subdivisions of the room for like who's going to clean what. Like, you know, you also have to dust. You can split up like who's going to dust this part of the room. But I mean, the big part of like having a roommate is like having a strong relationship with them, because like if you don't like your roommate, then it's gonna like really stink. Like it's not gonna be fun. And I mean, like 90% of the Camden boys that I've met can say that they've had a bad roommate. I mean, I've had a bad roommate myself. And it's definitely like it's gonna happen, but there's always a way to change your roommate. I mean, it's from by going to your tactical officer and also finding someone who's willing to change rooms and that you want to be roommates with. You know, you can go to your tactical officer. Well, you have to work up your chain of command first. You go to your squad leader, then your platoon sergeant, then your platoon leader. Your platoon leader goes to your executive officer, and then your executive officer goes to your captain, and then the chain of command meets with your tactical officer. So it's kind of the rundown of all the roommate situation.
Yep. Good job. All right. So I have more questions coming in, so I want to go jump right back on to your questions. A question: when will the class schedules be released? So they are finishing class schedules right now. So if you would like to call and speak with the registrar or the academic dean, you can prior to registration. However, on the day of registration, every family will have the opportunity to sit down with the dean and talk about classes, choices, options. Make sure you agree with the schedule. Make sure that we have the correct information from the transcript from the prior school. So you will have that opportunity on registration day, but feel free to give them a call because if they haven't already reached out to you, because I know they've been working on those transcripts really hard the last couple of weeks. Also, are cadets allowed to have social media and post things related to the activities here on campus? Absolutely. So yeah, guys have social media. We try to have talks with them about what's appropriate and not appropriate to post, not just while they're here, but when they're at home and other places. But actually, I actually have students that help me with that. So if your student is interested in social media, I'm talking about posting for the school, of course, they can come and talk to us. Actually, Lon's the guy to talk to as well. If you feel more comfortable talking to a student, Lon's going to kind of be one of the guys in charge of the social media platforms this year. Um, so if you see things being posted, that's probably Lon or two other of his buddies doing that. But we do have cadet ambassadors that post information, but you can have personal social media too. Just know that whatever's posted is on the internet forever. That's what we try to tell these guys. And we always see if there's anything bad. So might not see it right away, but we always see it. All right. Uniforms. Good question. All right. It's summertime. I texted these guys and was like, guys, you can wear a polo tonight. No need to get in uniform. Most of them probably have them packed up or maybe even left them here. So let's see, Lon, we'll let you talk about the dress. Luke, we'll let you describe the class. And Maddox, we'll let you do the travel, the ACUs, all that. All right. So Lon, we'll start with you.
So our dress uniform, also known as our parade uniform, is our most formal out of all of them. So we usually wear that during parades, like if we have parades, or like very formal events. Church, we wear them to chapel every Sunday morning. But if you're like going to like an event or just like any formal type of situation, we would get in, or SMIs, which is Saturday morning inspection, we would get into parade uniform.
All right, good job. And Luke, now we'll switch over to you.
Uh,
This is class
class,
uniform.
yeah, class you wear pretty much every day. You put it on when you wake up and you take it off after school. So from like 6 to like 3:30, you wear class. It's just a collared shirt, short sleeve shirt with long blue pants and nice polished black shoes. It's not too bad to wear. You get used to it after a couple days, but it's not that bad of a uniform.
All right, and then Maddox, we'll let you talk about the ACUs and specifically talk about the travel because I have a question about what do guys have to wear off campus.
So the ACU uniform is like the uniform that we'll wear for bad weather. So it's like it's a camouflage blouse with like camouflage pants, specifically like the multi-cam camouflage, and that's what they're issuing now. And then you have your combat boots, which are basically just these big tan boots. Then you have your ACU cover as well. And then under your blouse, you wear a t-shirt. And then so our travel uniform, which this is actually the travel shirt that you will wear, like so when you go like off campus, say we're going to the movies or something, like this is what we'll wear, or like you're going to some kind of event, like this is what you wear, like for off campus church, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's this shirt, and then you'll wear khaki pants and tennis shoes with your class belt. And your class belt is just like a black belt with a gold pendant on it. And so the other two uniforms are PT winter and PT summer, which is what we'll wear for like physical training, and also what we'll wear for the first 2 weeks of school. And PT winters are a white pants or a white sweatpants, and you'll wear your tennis shoes with white socks and a gray Camden Military Academy undershirt, and also wear um, a white, it's either a white or a gray sweatshirt as well. And you'll wear black shorts under the pants. And then PT summers just take out the sweatshirt and the sweatpants, and it's the gray shirt with those shorts and tennis shoes.
All right, good job. And you can find pictures of all those uniforms on our website. Just go through. We have a video gallery. We have a photo gallery. And guys, I'm going to tell you, we have questions pouring in. I have 3 pages of questions right now. So I'm going to kind of hit you guys. We're going to kind of play a hot potato, and I'm just going to throw a question out. You kind of give the best and quickest answer that you can. All right. So what kind of haircut do cadets get? Okay, trust me, these guys do not have haircuts that would pass muster here right now. So, well, maybe Maddox. Okay, I see that. Yeah. All right. So, but Lon, talk about haircuts.
Haircuts. So there's a barber that is on campus. There's like a certain time, certain days of the week that he comes for like each company, I think. You usually get your haircut during free time or study hall. You could like bring your books and sit right outside the barber shop. But I don't know the exact length. I think it's like half an inch on the side and then 2 inches on top or something. And it's just your basic military haircut.
Yeah, it's not a buzz though. You don't have to buzz at all, but it just has to be short on the sides, and then we do it like to have a little bit of there on top. But again, look at some of our pictures on our Facebook pages and things, and you'll see that what the guys are what is accepted. All right, and Luke, how much free time do you have a day typically?
During the week, you have an hour and a half, and then on weekends, I think you have 3 hours. It's more than that on weekends, but on weekdays you get an hour and a half, and then after that, that's after school, that's after class, and then after free time you go to dinner.
Yeah. So the free time is, I always tell people it's a lot more structured than free. That's when the sports are practicing and things like that. So Yeah, having about an hour or so of just your time is probably good. The weekends is your most relaxed amount of time. So, Saturdays and Sundays after church, that might be a day where you just get to lay around and play video games or take naps or what have you. So, all right. Are you allowed to have storage under the bed, Maddox?
From my experience, well, so it kind of depends on the company. So the newest barracks, Delta and Charlie Company, which me and Cal were in both in Charlie Company for our first, for my first 2 years, and I think his first three. And now we both just transferred to band. But so you can't store anything except for your shoe line under your bed in the new barracks. But so in band and staff company, you store your foot locker that holds like all of your like your socks and underwear and your t-shirts and stuff under that goes in your foot locker under the beds in band and staff company, and I'm pretty sure Alpha and possibly Bravo company as well, but nothing personal goes under the bed.
Right. Yep. So they'll actually have a foot locker in some of the older barracks where they will actually put some of their civilian clothes and other clothes that they bring to wear on the free times or weekends or whatever. But yeah, the rooms are fairly small, so they don't have a whole lot of extra space for storage. Let's see, guys. I'm going to kind of go through these. Can you get packages from Amazon? The answer to that is yes. So you can always send it to them. Just make sure their name and please put their company on it. That helps us out in the mailroom. But yes, they can receive outside shipping. How much does a typical student get for a week of allowance? Guys, how much do you get each per week typically? Lon first.
15.
I get the past 2 years I've had $10 a week, but that's like plenty. I think I didn't really get too much at the Carlisle house, but I mean I know kids that get like $30 a week. I think that's the limit. But you could also do like 15, split it in half, or like $20. That's usually a pretty good amount.
Yeah. And Luke, you said 15 for you?
Yes, sir.
And Maddox, how about you?
I think I get around either 10 or 15, but I mean, like if you play sports, then you're not really going to use it except for the weekends because like
Right.
you have sports practice usually 5 days a week. So,
Yep. All right. And what's the schedule of the day? What time do you wake up, guys? Lon, what time do you wake up typically?
So if you're not a leader in your company, you usually wake up on like a regular weekday, 6 o'clock. But since if you are a leader or like you're on chain of command, you would usually get up at around 5:30. And then after that, once you get up, you start cleaning. You brush your teeth. You like obviously get dressed in the uniform of the day, whatever that is, if that's like class or PTs. And then usually from like 6:30 to or actually it's like 6:15 to 6:30 is when we like clean rooms, and then you have like your squad leaders that like check through, and then after that you march to breakfast. So
Yeah. And then we'll start our school day around 9:30. And again, we get out at 3:15 at the end of the day. Luke, are you allowed to take off your mask once you're in your room?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, only places you have to wear a mask are as if you're going to eat food at the dining hall. You can take it off once you start eating, but you have to put it right back on once you're done. You have to wear it in class. You have to wear it while you're marching. You don't have to wear it for practices, like while you're practicing, but you do have to wear it when you're walking around the campus.
Yeah. So, we're going to tweak that a little bit this year, but yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, no, you do not have to wear your mask in your room in the barracks. All right, so I'm going to run through some other quick questions. Can seventh graders play football? Yes, we have a middle school team, JV team, as well as high school. So seventh graders can definitely play. Are iPads, laptops available for the first 2 weeks? Anything technology-wise in a computer? Do you need to bring a computer? Do you recommend you bring a computer? You don't have to have one. We're actually going to supply any technology that they need, such as computers, laptops. We have 300 new Chromebooks, but we have Macs in the library, so we have compatibility with printers and all that. And let's see, can we send care packages during the first 2 weeks? Absolutely. Like I said earlier, please, don't just drop them off and forget about them. Send them some snacks, send them some extra spending money for the Carlisle house, something like that. And the boys arriving early for football, what were their daily routine like, and how many kids approximately will be in the barracks together? So the football players, I heard the coach talking today. I think you're going to have 2-a-days, and the first practice will be from 8 to 11 in the morning, and I'm not sure about the afternoon times, but yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. And you're going to stay in your barrack. So when you come in and register on the 15th, you'll actually go and stay in the barrack that you're assigned to, for the rest of the year, so you don't have to move your stuff twice. So, and a question I get from parents a good bit too is, okay, you said registration is August 15th, but classes doesn't start to the 23rd. So do I have to come twice or something like that? No. When you sign up for registration, your son will stay that night here on campus with us. So you drop him off on registration. He stays with us, and then you'll see him again the next furlough. Can you bring instruments? Yes, you can. Now it depends on what it is. You can't bring an organ, a piano, drum set, anything huge like that. But we have guys that play the ukuleles and bagpipes. We had a lot of bagpipers pop up over the last couple of years. But yeah, any small instrument like that is fine to bring. And the infirmary hours for the medications. We actually have a nurse on staff 24 hours a day. So we have one lives on campus. And so if there's ever someone that needs meds in the middle of the night, whatever, she's here and on call to assist. So basically it's always open. There will be a standard mask issued by the academies, so we can all be uniformed. I think they're going to get 2 or 3, and then we'll wash those weekly. And we'll have disposable masks, of course, available for them as well. And typical amount of homework, how long does it take you to do? Maddox, how long is a typical night? I know study hall is from 7:30 to 9, but does it take that entire amount of time?
No, it usually does not take, like 2 hours to do, or an hour and a half to do all that homework. It depends on the teacher about how much homework they're assigning. But with my, past 2 years at Camden, I've never spent over, at least an hour on my homework. Maybe at tops like an hour and 15 minutes. But after study hall is a time where like no electronics are allowed at all. So after you're done with your homework, you can read a book, you can study for a test that you have. You can stare at the wall, but usually I've never, had to go over that time to do homework, but I definitely know it's happened, but it usually doesn't take that long.
Yeah. Most guys say they comfortably finish it within that time frame and then have some time to kill. All right. Is there a religious requirement? And is it a Bible-based school, or are all welcome? All are welcome. We have students from around the world. So we have students who are non-Christian. We have Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, list goes on. So yeah, everyone's welcome. Everyone does have to believe in something though. So you cannot be agnostic or atheist. Part of our development of the whole man is to have a spiritual part. And so therefore you have to believe in something. And if instead of going into the chapel, you would have an alternate spot to go to study your own doctrine, your own theology during that time. All right. Let's see. Do cadets need to bring extra clothing for practicing for sports, like football players who arrive a week early? Yeah, that's a great question. No one's asked me that, so that's great. Yeah, you definitely want to bring lots of extra t-shirts, some gym shorts, things like that. But yeah, definitely bring extra clothes. And matter of fact, I will try to get with Coach Rice tomorrow and see how much he recommends that you do bring. Because yeah, it's August in South Carolina and you're going to sweat. And if you're doing 2-a-days, you're going to sweat through a lot of clothes. So yeah, we'll get back to you on that. Given a bright student, how does CMA handle work and understands ADHD impact? Okay, yes. So ADHD and ADD is something we're very familiar with here at CMA. Pretty much the school is tailor-made for a student who struggles with a mild learning challenge. And the daily structure, smaller classes, them learning how to manage their time, the organization that goes into it will certainly help any student who struggles with ADD or ADHD. And the teachers all know how to recognize it. We'll also, if you have any 504 plans or IEPs from a previous school, we'll take a look at those as well, make any accommodations that we can to help the student. And this is a good question. Maddox, I'm going to throw this one to you. Does a cadet need a coat for wintertime? Since you're from Colorado, do you need a coat here in the wintertime?
I mean, it doesn't really do any more than like rain. So honestly, I mean, I'm like a sweatshirt or two would be nice, but like, I mean, you're in uniform for 90% of the day that it's not totally necessary. And like when it does rain, you're probably not going to be outside. So like, and like maybe bring a rain jacket if you really want to. But like, I mean, a full winter jacket is probably not necessary because the school also supplies jackets that go with the class uniform as well. So
Yeah. So we're going to have, and I asked him because he comes from the coldest place over in Colorado. Me personally, I wear short sleeves and a light jacket throughout the winter. I'm not a big heavy coat person. Once every couple of years we get a snow and it gets really cold, and of course you want to go out and play, so you need one then. But not necessary to bring an additional one. Someone is asking, can we bring a bike? You cannot. We don't allow any bikes, cars, motorcycles, anything like that. So you just have to use what we have here on campus. Are siblings allowed to come to registration for drop off? Yes, they are. We're not going to tell anybody no, but just know that everybody will have to go through the COVID protocol if they're going to be outside of the car during registration. So again, just check your registration guidelines, and if you have any questions, give us a call. Someone else says, hey, I want to attend CMA. Is it too late to apply? No, it is not. We have applications pouring in. Everyone's realizing that we start school in a week or 2 weeks, and they're panicking trying to get the applications in. So we're accepting applications. We're performing interviews every day. So it is not too late. Let's see, when will we have to pick up the kids for first break time, and how long will they stay home? So the first break is the fall break. And it's either 4 or 5 days. And you have to come and pick them up for that. We also have a transportation director who, if you'll send the itinerary for any flights, he will, work with you to get them to and from the airports, make sure they're there on time. And how long should parents plan to be on campus for registration day? It's kind of up to you. How prepared are you? If you've submitted all of your paperwork and your payments and all of that, it'll be pretty easy. I would say you're probably in and out within 2 hours or so. If you're bringing stuff with you and all that, that's going to slow down the process. And due to COVID, we're not allowing people to go into our office buildings and individual offices with people. So you'll be kind of standing outside. So again, it's August in South Carolina. Make sure you're dressed for the weather and maybe a thunderstorm. So it would really behoove you to go ahead and get the paperwork back to us as soon as possible. Is there any place to fish on campus? There is not. We had a small pond back in the back with not pond, but yeah, I guess it's a small pond. Had some tilapia in it, but it's more for like a environmental ecosystem project, but we didn't want any fishing in there. And are drones allowed on campus? No. If you want to bring a drone, come see me. We can talk about it, but do not bring it initially. We're right next door to the Camden airport. And so, number one, they'll throw up some interference, but also you can get in trouble because it is a flight school going on next door. So if you have a drone, want to bring it, see me once you get here, and then we can get mom and dad to ship it and bring it in. We do have drones here. A couple of guys that are helping me out next year have drones. And so you will see some flying around, but they'll be school related. All right, let's see. Electives, clubs, and sports offered. All right, guys, I'm gonna give you another chance to talk. All right, Luke, why don't you tell them some of the sports that we have?
Well, we got cross country and football this fall. Football is coming back on Sunday. They're coming back a week early to condition. And you got basketball. I think we still have wrestling. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Yep,
and
new
then
wrestling coach.
we have tennis, which did really good this year. Lacrosse and normal track. Those are 2 spring.
Yeah. And then you have your tennis, your golf, soccer. Lon, jump in if we missed any sports, and also tell some clubs maybe that you belong to.
I think we have drill and rifle. I think there's also like a shooting team. I think
Skeet.
I knew a few people that did that last year.
Yep.
But I
How
mean,
about
yeah, we have
clubs?
all the basic sports that like any other high school would have.
How
Pretty
about
sure. Yeah.
clubs? Did you belong to any clubs last year?
I did library club last year. Me and a few friends did that. But that's really it. I know like CAP. I know a few people do like Civil Air Patrol. And there's a few like other clubs that like debate club. I know that's a popular one. So
Yeah. We have Scouts. It's pretty popular. We actually have a section of our website devoted to clubs and activities. So you can kind of go on there and see all the different clubs that are available. And, I always tell these guys if there's a club that maybe you're interested in starting that we don't currently have, let us know, because all of our teachers do have to coach a sport or sponsor a club. And so that gives us something new to do. All right. And I have another question. How and when do you prepare students for the SAT and ACT? All right. So, of course, that's in our daily curriculum, but also we have SAT and ACT prep classes. We also have experts that come in throughout the year that will kind of give these guys, tips to ways to outsmart the test makers, that kind of thing, give them some tips, shortcuts, different ways to think about things. So yeah, we're constantly doing that throughout the year. Typically, that extra expert class is the Thursday prior to the offerings of the SAT and ACTs. So yeah, just if you want more information for that, contact the academic department, and they can give you all the inside scoop. And question coming in: what do you do on the weekends? So Maddox, what do we do on the weekends typically? Well, I guess pre-COVID. Let's talk about that first.
So like pre-COVID, like on the weekends, there would sometimes be like trips. So I know there's like a ski trip that they do in the winter up to, I think it's West Virginia. Um, there's like, we'll go off campus to see like movies, paintball. There's like a Universal trip, I think. So like that's like the pre-COVID rundown. And I mean like post-COVID, so like nobody's really allowed on or off campus. Um, so like I mean except for the teachers, but no cadet is allowed off campus and no parent or outside personnel is allowed on campus. But so like like my favorite thing to do on the weekends during free time would be like to go work out, or like practice, playing baseball, go play football with my friends, stuff like that. That's like kind of what a lot of people do. I mean, you can also just kind of like sit in your room and play video games, sleep. But yeah, I mean, both like COVID now with it, I mean, it's that like it doesn't really like it's not really huge impact. It's like I mean, I feel bad for like all the new boys coming in as well because like they don't really get the full Camden experience, but you're still gonna. I mean, the biggest part is like the brotherhood and like that's like the weekends is when you get to like be with friends the most.
Yeah. And, right now we're still planning on going on those trips. So again, the campus has not been closed, but that was a good description of pre-COVID. So we try to have something planned every weekend. We have movie trips. Even during COVID, we were able to take the guys into the local theater here in town to watch the movies, get some popcorn, candy, that kind of stuff. So, we try our best. We also played some paintball. I think we'll be doing that again. So, yeah. All right, let's see. If I choose lacrosse, how do we try out? Does he need his equipment? Lon, take that question. If he picks lacrosse and wants to play, are there tryouts and does he need to bring his own equipment?
We don't really have like a tryout. You'll have so when you first arrive on campus, or once like we kind of get settled in, like the first couple weeks, I would go to talk to Captain Gudgel, who's actually the head lacrosse coach. Go talk to him about say you're interested in joining, and then he'll be like, yeah, sure. And then if you want to bring your own gear, you can. Most of the gear that I use is mine. But they have like helmets and stuff. So like I use the school's helmet. And they have like pads, sticks, and everything that you'll need.
Yeah. And most of our sports are like that. We have a no cut policy. The only sport you would have to actually try out for is basketball, and we do have to cut some people there just because we can't have 50 people on the team. I have a question about, can returning cadets enroll without parents present? Absolutely, yeah. So just call and make sure that you have all your forms turned in, everything signed, because if he doesn't have something signed, he wouldn't be allowed to progress through the registration process. So don't drop him and run. Make sure you have that paperwork completed prior to arrival. Is there Wi-Fi in the barracks? There is no Wi-Fi in the barracks. The Wi-Fi public access would be in the library, the academic building, the administration building, and the Carlisle House. The Carlisle House is like the student hangout that's available in the afternoons and on the weekends. Now, parents will often send a data plan, and that's fine. We don't encourage it, but also we don't discourage it. But I'll encourage parents to get parental control so that you can, have that data plan go dead at 10 p.m. That would certainly help us out, in monitoring and make sure these guys are getting their sleep like they're supposed to. What else? Opportunities for volunteering and community service. Yes, there are plenty of opportunities for community service. Just today, I did a podcast with the local chamber here in Kershaw County, and they were very complimentary of our guys and all the community service that they do perform. So yes, we like to get them out and about and involved in the community. Again, as long as COVID allows that to happen. According to CMA, what is defined as bullying, hazing, and what's your policy about these? Okay, good question. All right, so we do not have hazing. Hazing is like a tradition of, bullying or whatever. We don't have that. And then bullying itself, our headmaster is considered to be an expert in bullying. How does one become an expert? I'm not quite sure, but he has taken some courses and received some training, and he's invited all over the country to speak about bullying and anti-bullying campaigns and whatnot. He actually served on a forum with Monica Lewinsky and some other very prominent people. So we take it seriously, and that's something we're not going to put up with, and it's grounds for dismissal. So, however, bullying is not telling your mom joke or something like that. It would have to be that you really target another student and make his life miserable. That's our definition of bullying. So that could be mental, emotionally, physically. So it's just not all physical. Guys, I want to ask you, have you ever had any trouble with bullying while you were here at CMA? And do you think we take it seriously? We'll start with Lon.
Yes, sir. I've never personally had any experiences with bullying at Camden, but I do know for sure that if anyone, they don't even have to be have rank or be like a chain of command. Usually, if any kid sees bullying happening on campus, they'll usually step in and be like, "Hey, don't do this," or they'll usually get an adult. It'll be handled. But no, there's really not that much bullying, at least with my experience at Camden.
And Maddox, how about you? You came to us, younger. Did you have any trouble, fitting in or being bullied, being a young student?
No, sir. I mean, the younger students, no. I mean, just because they are younger doesn't really mean they get treated any differently. I mean, a seventh grade private is going to be treated just the same as a senior private. You don't see seventh and eighth graders with rank ever. So they're going to be, private first class, which is basically the same thing. So, I never gotten bullied in my 2 years at Camden. And I never have seen anybody else. And if it does happen, it will be handled by adults and chain of command.
Yeah. So, and Lon and Maddox both kind of mentioned this. We know as adults we can't be everywhere all the time. So we have cameras around campus on all the outside, buildings and places, but not on the inside because of course these are boys, and they have to go down to the center of the hallway for showers and things like that. But we rely on our chain of command. So these students that have been here for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they all have a high rank, and they have to let us know that things are happening within who they've been responsible for. So, if someone's a platoon sergeant and something's going wrong in his platoon, he's got to let us know. If not, he's going to be busted back down to a private. So basically his business becomes everybody else's business. It's sink or swim as a team. And so when Lon, I think, mentioned, guys will step in and break it up or whatever, that's why we don't have very many fights, I think. every year I say I maybe see 2 to 3 fights. I'm talking about full fist fights, because these guys will break it up before it becomes an issue or grows into something bigger. Because if the two guys fight, they're going to be in trouble, but then everybody else that they live with within the barracks is going to get some negative feedback from that as well. Military activities is the question, and I know it's going long, guys. This has been the most interactive YouTube live I've ever had, so I'm working the questions over here and the guys here. So if I look a little spaced out sometimes, I'm trying to get everything put together. But thanks for all the questions. We appreciate them. But as far as military, guys, what kind of military activities do we have here? And question that I'm going to throw into that, or maybe some barracks more military than others. And Lon, we'll let you answer.
How military? It's not like boot camp, or you're going to like train to go fight. It's all about just like discipline and like leadership skills, and I guess like even just like the military aspect just in general. Like you just march everywhere. You march to the dining hall, you go to class, you sit down in class, you like sit upright, formal. And I think that just like helps you build like character over time. And especially just like in a military environment with all the other boys, it like over time, you realize that like, oh, I should make changes like in my life. So it definitely, like, the military aspect at the school helps a lot.
All right. And Maddox, do you feel like that some barracks are more military than others?
Yes, for sure. There are definitely preferences in like the tactical officers. Like, I mean, so for my first 2 years in Charlie Company, it's like named like the most. I wouldn't say like it, like it's the toughest, definitely the most like demanding company to be in because they're super strict. But it definitely pays off. I mean, both years when I was in eighth grade and as a freshman in high school, we went honor company both years. Um, so it definitely pays off. Um, and so, like when you know, like it's First Sergeant Hester and First Sergeant Collins, and so they're like definitely they definitely impact like all the cadets in the company, and I mean it definitely shows on campus because we were we got first in honor company and drill and stuff like that. So it was definitely it's definitely something that you can be proud of, but it's very demanding, very very demanding.
All right, yeah. And so, as Maddox stated, the different TAC officers all have different personalities. So, and which is a good thing, we think, because, some families want more of a disciplinarian, some want the military because, they have aspirations to go to West Point or military college. But then you have some that kind of serve the father figure role and as a mentor. All of our TAC officers are mentors, but, they kind of fill in that father figure since they're here with us and not at home. And want to talk about the brotherhood, guys, because I know that's really important to y'all, but also important to students coming in. We talked about earlier making friends when you first get here and all that, but do you have anything maybe to share about the CMA bond, the CMA brotherhood? And Luke, we'll start with you.
Sports help a lot with making friends and making a bond with people. That's where I made most of my friends in Camden, was through sports. So
yeah. Lon, how about you?
I also say the same thing. You learn, you like get to meet a lot of new people, especially if you play sports or participate in a club. Definitely get to like interact with more kids than you would in just your regular class. And the brotherhood at Camden is like, it's nothing like I've ever seen. It's just like the way we interact with each other, especially for being on campus, living with each other 24/7 for 4 months straight. You build a bond of just like everyone's like, yeah, at times like you'll argue with each other, you'll get into like fights and stuff, but like you just like have a relationship with each other just that like you can't really break, or you can't just find at a normal public school.
Yeah, it's definitely like family for sure. And Maddox, how about you? What does brotherhood mean to you?
I mean, the brotherhood part, like, I mean, I mentioned earlier about like the roommate, like your roommate will probably be like one of your closest buddies at school. And like, I mean, your squad, like the people in your squad, I mean, those are the people that you like get up at 6 in the morning and clean with. So, you know, you form a bond with them. I mean, like, I have always had like a really good relationship with two of my roommates, two of my three roommates. Um, and so, like, I mean, brotherhood definitely means like so much to all the boys on campus because, like, without that, it would just be so, like, it would just not be fun at all. Because, like, then you just kind of like feel lonely. And I mean, regardless of your personality, who you are, like, you're going to make friends and they're going to be people who are there to, you know, welcome you. And that's like the best part of Camden is because, like, everybody has like their own kind of way of showing brotherhood.
All right, good job. All right, now guys, this is the last question for you tonight. All right, so it's a two-parter. I want you to think about what would you tell yourself when you were looking back. What would you tell yourself getting ready to go to Camden? And then tell me where you are now. What's the biggest difference you've seen in yourself? How have you grown since you've been at CMA? And we're going to go in reverse order. So Luke, we'll start with you. What would you tell yourself looking back to last year?
Come sooner. Go to Camden sooner. I should have won at the beginning of the year, but instead I waited until halfway through, and I should have went to Camden sooner because my grades would have been 10 times better if I did. I wouldn't have C's and B's. I'd have all A's. But yeah, I just hope I would have came sooner.
All right. And Lon, how about you? What would you tell yourself from a couple years back?
What I would tell myself, I would say stick with it, I guess. I would say, you know, just do, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a weird question. Yeah, I would say go like what Whitaker said. Probably it would have been better if I started my freshman year, because that's like really where I struggled the most was my freshman year of high school. That's like one of the reasons that got me to Camden. But I would definitely say go sooner, stick with it, and then everything will be fine.
All right. And Maddox, you're the statesman of the group, the old timer. So looking back at your little self, what would you tell that little nervous 8th grader?
Oh gosh. Find somebody who you know you can talk to and trust. An adult. I mean, I have a couple adults that I talk to quite a bunch. I mean, one of them is Casey for sure. And I'd say study and go sooner. I mean, I wish I had started in 7th grade. I'll tell you that much. Go sooner. I mean, tell your little brother you need to go because it is so worth it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, I want to first of all thank you 3 guys for taking time out to join us, and I'm sure there's a lot of families out there that appreciate your feedback tonight and answering these questions. And again, thank you guys for all your questions. Again, this is by far the most interactive YouTube Live we've had, and I've been doing these for years now. So thanks for pouring those in. And it's not too late to apply. So your school starts for us. Our first day of class is August 23rd. So if you have not applied yet, it's time to apply. If you haven't scheduled your interview yet, it's time to schedule your interview. But we'll look forward to seeing you guys back here on campus really soon. And to all you new families, we're going to welcome you to the family. And trust me, you're getting ready to experience something great. and you'll be glad that you've chosen Camden. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Conversations with Camden.